Check. Good. So I'm Max Ceron. Max Ceron, CWB Association Welding podcast. Today we have a really cool guest, Welding podcast.
The show is about to begin.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the CWB Association podcast. My name is Max Ceron and we are here in Nashville, Tennessee this week recording at the wonderful AWMI conference. This conference is a wonderful platform for women to get together and work on solutions and inspire each other into the future of this industry in the metal trades, in which we need so many more women to become a part of. Today, I have Tamela Olt here coming to us. She is from the Chicago chapter of AWMI. How are you doing, Tamela?
Very good. Thank you, Max. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I got to start right away. Tamela, what a nice name. I've never seen that before. I'm sure you've heard that 1,000 times in your whole life.
A few times.
Yeah.
A few times. Yes.
Where did it come from?
Well, it's not a real intriguing story. When I was born, my parents wanted to call me Tammy, and I guess my father said, well, she needs a real name. So we said, there's Pamela. We'll call her Tamela.
Tamela, because I think Tammy is usually short for Tamara, right?
A lot of different things. Yep.
Yeah. But I mean, that's wonderful. But in your day-to-day, you go by Tammy?
Usually, but...
Yeah. As long as they don't call you late for supper. Is that
Correct. Sure.
So what part of the country are you from? Where are your roots from?
Central Illinois. I grew up in a town, Pekin, Illinois. Mm-hmm. And
big town, little town?
Big town, 40,000 people.
Okay, that's good. So you got all the services there.
Sure, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Probably had a subway.
And we had a hospital.
Yeah. Now, when you were growing up as a little girl in Central Ohio, Illinois, sorry.
That's okay.
You know, when you were coming up, did you have an understanding of what this world of the steel and metal industries even was?
No. My father was an egg distributor, and my path was going to be to work for him.
Oh, really? So did he own or? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So did he have like the chickens and everything?
No, he was the distributor. Yes, he was the distributor, so he would collect the eggs from the farmers or whoever might have the chickens, inspect them, package them, and sell them then to schools, prisons, stores.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And you were getting geared up. Mm-hmm. They were, I guess, grooming you to take over the reins.
My sisters might not think that, but yes.
and you know, in school, then you kind of, Dad's got a job. This is what you do. You probably do it after schools or with him on weekends. What was your dream? Like, what was it that you wanted to be?
Well, I thought that's, what I wanted to do. And after about 5 years, I decided that 5 years after graduation from high school, I decided that this wasn't it. So I went home and told my parents and my boyfriend of 6 years that I was leaving and going to college, and that was in 1981, and I did not return to live there again.
and that includes the boyfriend, right?
And that includes the boyfriend, yes.
Well, I hope he's doing well.
Yes, so do I.
So you decided to go off to college, which, it sounded like in your family that wasn't necessarily part of the plan. What did your parents say? Were they like, are you crazy?
Pretty much, yeah. But it took a very short period of time, and they realized it was the right decision. And then from there, found my way to the steel industry.
So what did you take in school, in university?
Marketing and psychology.
Well, that's a mix. So you knew people's brains, and then you knew how to sell it to them. That's a double-edged sword there.
Yeah, that's my skill set. I'm in sales. I've always been in sales.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. And
Now, that's probably something you did learn from your dad.
I believe so.
Because a distributor of any kind, you got to be good with people.
Yep.
Right? And sales is really about having clients trust you. Right? It's really, you always hear that word trust. But when it's somebody else's money, you got to really, really make them trust you, right?
Absolutely.
So when you finished school and you had this marketing background where you're like, okay, I think I'm going to go down this path. Marketing is a pretty wide field. What was that first job out of college?
I actually was the metals industry.
Really?
Yes. Stumbled into it. Decided I was going to maybe just go for a couple of years to get some experience. Back then, 40 years ago, you stayed at a company. Your short term was at least 2 years.
Yeah.
And then after being there for a couple of years, I realized I loved it. I loved the people. I loved the industry. And again, that was 40 years ago this year. So,
And that's the same company you've been with?
2 companies, that's it.
Oh,
And
wow.
Yeah. The first one, after I left there in 2001, and they were part of the demise of the steel industry at the time, 2002. They went bankrupt. Yeah. But I had already left, and I've been at my current company since that time.
So 20 years with the first one, if I do the math right.
18.
18, yeah.
Like that, yeah.
And then since 2002 at the new job, right?
Right.
And all that time in the sales department working. So in that first gig, what was it that they sold? What was it that you were selling as a salesperson for them?
Steel mill. I've only worked for 2 steel mills. Yes.
And in Illinois, there's quite a bit of steel production for the people that are listening.
Northwest Indiana.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's where it's all at.
That's where all the major steel companies were at the time.
Well, I believe in Indiana now, or back then there was an IPSCO, if I remember correctly, because now it's Evraz.
Well,
Stelco.
Yes. Yeah, IPSCO is where was my second job. It used to be SSAB.
Okay.
Excuse me, I said that completely wrong.
Backwards?
Yes,
Yeah,
backwards.
yeah.
We were IPSCO and SSAB bought IPSCO in 2007.
Right. So I worked for IPSCO because I'm from Regina, Saskatchewan.
Oh, my goodness.
Where we worked at IPSCO, and I did my first 10 years of welding as maintenance at the steel mill.
Yes, exactly.
And then they got bought. Well, there was a partnership with SSAB at first because we built a pipe mill attached to our steel mill, which SSAB was from Sweden, I believe, or somewhere they came. And then it got sold out outright a few years later.
Well, they did a divestiture. So part of the pipe mills, the U.S. pipe mills went one way, and the Canadian went another way, and then the steel mill went.
And in the end, they all got sold out, right?
Yes, did that. Right.
Yeah, because I remember there was that time when we were flush with work for 60 years. That mill is one of the oldest mills in North America in Regina, and then we did the pipe mill, and then 2001 it was dead in the water. We had yards of steel, yards of pipe, coils, as far as you could see, sitting there rusting out in the rain. No one was buying steel. And it was a scary time. And that's actually when I stopped working at the mill because I got laid off. Right. So then I had to go figure out what else I was going to go do.
Yeah, well, you should have stayed because that's when they built the mills in the U.S.
That's what I heard. And that's why as soon as you said that, I was like, there was that talk about going to the U.S. to Indiana because of all the new mills that were popping up there.
Yeah, but it was actually built in Iowa.
Okay.
So that's where the first one was in 1997. Actually, I think is when they commissioned, or that might have been the first slab. And then the second mill was in Mobile, Alabama.
Okay.
That was in 2003.
It would have been the 97 one because I remember it was right before my daughter was born. She was born in 98.
There you go.
Yeah. So, wow. See, small world.
Yes,
and I always have fond memories of working in a steel mill. It was dangerous. It was scary.
Yes, it is.
And it's a place where you got to keep your head on a swivel and be careful.
Safety first.
Safety first. I did see a workplace death in that mill in my career, and it was very scary for a young welder to see, but also impacts you for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
To not take shortcuts and to do things right because we knew what caused the accident. It was a shortcut. It was someone not being safe. And in a steel mill, you don't got a lot of time to react.
No, you need to always have that head up.
Yeah.
Heads up.
So for you coming up in this industry, in the steel mill industry, what was that learning curve? You didn't come from this background. No. And they don't teach you that in university. Now here you are in a highly technical field because foundries and mills, they don't talk in rough conversations. They talk very specific conversations. You're talking about very specific runs of steel, very specific mixtures and types. How did that work out? Like, how did you do that?
Well, it worked out. Fortunately, I've worked for, the 2 companies that I've worked for have a fantastic technical team, great metallurgists. The company I currently work for, SSAB, we have wonderful research, and So when you have a team around you, surrounded like that, it helps make the selling much easier when you have a great product and you have the resources.
Right.
So
yeah, and as a woman now, but through the lens of a woman, 40 years ago, I assume you were likely the only female sales rep they had, and that would have been IPSCO back then.
That would have been a different company.
Oh yeah, but whatever company that was, way back there, right? What were the hurdles that you felt you had to go through at that point, or did you feel like you were kind of well received? Or
I think it was a mixture. You have some people that obviously were willing to open up and see you and
welcome you.
Thank you. Searching for a word there, and then you had some
jerks.
Course, yeah. But that's life, and
that's life,
you have to figure out how to maneuver that and use what you can to get over those hurdles and obstacles. And I was fortunate. Again, I've been very fortunate to have people surrounding me that did support me. Mm-hmm. And if there were people that didn't, you have to also be, I don't know if brave's the right word, but brave enough to challenge.
To challenge and to be heard, mm-hmm. right? Because at the end of the day, you have a job to do, mm-hmm. right? It's not like you can just say, oh, they were not nice to me, I'm going home, right? I don't like it. There's still an expectation that you have to come home and the product has been sold or moved. Just recently at the conference in Orlando that we were at, we heard a story about, a customer coming up and saying, I don't want to talk to you. I want to speak to a man, because you're not going to be the expert because you're a woman. I want a man, even though the woman at the booth was far higher up than any of the men there, right? Did you ever have situations where people would say, you know what, why are you here from IPSCO or SSAB or whoever? Where's the man? Do you ever have that happen?
Oh, sure. Over the years, it did. And interestingly, it depends on the manager at the time. Mm-hmm. One
certain fellow
did not probably handle it the way that they should have. They succumbed to pressures. Mm-hmm. But that was short lived because he was replaced and mm-hmm. they had to deal with me.
Yeah.
And if you wanted our quality product, then you've got to deal with me.
That's the person you're going through, and that's that, right?
Right.
You brought it up. You said it a couple times already, but how important is it to have that mentorship or that support in the workplace, male or female, but especially female?
Oh, it's paramount.
Yeah,
it truly is. Mentors, friends, people you can rely upon, turn to for advice, direction. It's something that is invaluable. And that is the one thing with AWMI that, I've been a member probably for 35 years. And my best friends are from meeting them from AWMI that many years ago.
Yeah.
So a lot have left the industry. A lot have retired.
Yeah.
Some will be here.
Are you pumped to see them?
Oh, absolutely. and I see a lot of them all the time. And I'm still pumped to see them, of course. So
well, that was good. That was exactly where I was going with my next question. Is we're talking about mentorship. We're talking about having the proper supports and feeling safe and empowered at work. And you're in a now that I know where you cut your teeth, I know that industry well. That's about as male-dominated, rough and tumble as it gets, right? That's it's kind of about as hard of an industry as there is, right? For you, how did you find AWMI, or how did they find you so early in your career? I just heard of AWMI 2 years ago. I've been in the industry 32 years. How did that connection happen?
Yeah, well, in the Chicago chapter is a large chapter that has always been very active, and there were women that were mentors that would seek out young women in the industry,
young girls coming up there.
Yeah, I was very fortunate. There was a woman by the name of Gail Heineke, and she was relentless.
She would not let you go?
No. And, thank you, Gail.
Yeah.
So she got me involved in volunteering, and then I was on the board, and then I became president, then I went to the regional board, then I went to the international board, and then was international president, and I just loved the organization, would support it 100%. Always, obviously, I'm here still supporting, and want to.
And that first, can we go back in time to that first meeting that you get invited to? Like, you're a young woman in this field. I can sense the tenacity off you, and I love, very much Illinois here. We got, you're coming in. This is my job. I'm going to do my job. So be it, right? And you get invited out to AWMI for the first meeting from Gail after she hunts you down. You go to this meeting. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What are your first impressions?
I think at first I had to find the right women.
Because not all women are the same.
Right. And some were a little more cliquish. But you were able to get through that. Yeah. And it there were men that supported, obviously men support the organization today and are active members. And they were back then too. So it's just finding your people. And when I say your people, that could be everybody at that meeting.
Yeah.
Except for maybe one.
Yeah, it depends how the day goes.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So
now in this, I love the fact that you've been a part of the industry so long. I'm getting a little long in the tooth now. So there's certain things that we get as we get older, and that's perspective, right? And you get to look back on your career. You get to look back at things you do, like you just talking about the steel industry. I was 17 years old when I went for my first job at the steel mill, and the thoughts going through my head as a 17-year-old kid, right? But for you, you get into these jobs, and now you're in with AWMI. You've seen 40 years of change, of movement, of industries. There's been, in my life, at least 3 complete collapses of the economy. And, it's up and down, and there's the boom time when all the welders are rich, and then there's the downtime when we're all looking for jobs at the gas station. And, there's these ebbs and flows of our industry. For yourself, how did you protect yourself for 40 years to stay in the job with these companies, even as they switch hands and get moved around?
I think it's intentional, and you have to be, you have to be willing to roll with the punches. You've got to change and adapt. It's dynamic. You may not always agree with the direction, but hang around, it'll change.
Yeah.
So, that's, I think that's the best advice that you can give anybody in any industry doing anything.
Yeah. Just be adaptable. Keep your ears open. Don't cause too much of a ruckus.
Oh, no, I don't know about that.
Yeah. I immediately regretted saying that to you.
I think you might hear that from other people.
Yeah, you got to cause a ruckus.
That would not be Tammy. So yes.
All right. Well, this is perfect. Let's take a break for our advertisers right now. We'll come right back, and we'll keep going with Tamela, because now I want to talk about how you're involved now. Your AWMI course and what's happening, and even this week.
Sure.
All right. So we'll be right back here on the CWB Association podcast with Tamela Olt, who is here from the Chicago chapter at AWMI in Nashville, Tennessee. Stay tuned.
The CWB Association is new and improved and focused on you. We offer a free membership with lots of benefits to anyone interested in joining an association that is passionate about welding. We are committed to educating, informing, and connecting our workforce. Gain access to your free digital publication of the Weld magazine, free online training, conferences, and lots of giveaways. Reach out to your local CWB Association chapter today to connect with other welding professionals and share welding as a trade in your community. Build your career, stay informed, and support the Canadian welding industry. Join today and learn more at cwbassociation.org.
And we are back here at the CWB Association podcast in beautiful Nashville, Tennessee, where there's been country music flowing from every restaurant we've walked by, which has been wonderful for Daniela, because she listens to a lot of country music. I'm learning. I'm not much of a country fan, but I'm learning. All right, Tamela, before the break, we were talking about, the course of your career, the changes and ebbs and flows and how you stay relevant. In that same lens, 40 years, you said you've been with AWMI 35 years. There's also an ebb and flow with associations, and roles change. Lots of times you're voluntold into the next role in a volunteer type association. Sure. How's your career been in AWMI, and how have you stayed relevant and involved?
Well, I stay involved at the local chapter level. After having the presidency and then your past president for 2 years, I felt like it was time for me then to step off boards, because there's a lot of young women that
could use
should be taking those positions. So that's my take on it. But I keep involved with the chapter events, any kind of mentoring or anything that when people come to me, I try to help out. Tomorrow, I'm actually another longtime AWMI past president who actually just retired. She and I are conducting one of the training sessions.
Awesome.
So, was asked to do that, which I'm very happy to do. So I think that's how I keep myself relevant. I also am a big, within my own company, a big proponent of AWMI.
Helping the young women coming in to join.
And we have a lot of members. We're a platinum member of AWMI. We have, I think there's something like 9 people that serve on boards
from your company.
Country. Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah. So
you're kind of a recruiter too.
Oh, absolutely. Well, everybody who's in AWMI should and needs to be a recruiter.
Yes, we talk about that with our association too, and even like in this relationship that's developing now with our association and the AWMI, I see so many intersection points where I'm so amazed that this connection didn't happen sooner. Our association's 104 years old.
Oh my!
We've been around since our original signers were like Mr. Lincoln. Like it was a long time ago, and somehow this connection wasn't found until by accident in Denver at the Steel Conference when we got put in the booth next to AWMI.
Oh,
and we on our mandate, our job is to try to reinforce the steel industry, make sure that we always have enough young people coming in to support the work that we have, not just in Canada but really around the world, because everything's pretty connected. And a big part of that is getting more women into the industry.
Right.
Women are 52% of the population, and less than 5% represented in the steel industries. Well, here at AWMI in this conference this week, I'm the minority.
Right.
Which I love, because I'm here to learn, right? Mm-hmm. So for yourself, how has AWMI changed as an organization in the last 35 years? I mean, growth is obvious. It looks like you guys have exploded in the last few years. But what other changes have you seen happen?
Well, you had mentioned, ebb and flow, and that's what's happened because, again, back in the late 90s, there were so many steel companies, and the Chicago chapter was huge, and we would have dinners that were 800 people.
Wow!
And but when you shrink and those companies go away, there's less people. So I think AWMI has seen ups and downs throughout the years, and it goes, sometimes with obviously business conditions in the industry. In the last few years, though, it seems like, when I say few years, maybe 10 years or so, AWMI has been very consistent, even in times when
industry was down.
The industry was down. Money was being watched very closely. AWMI is being supported, and because I think employers definitely see the value that AWMI brings.
And what is that value? What is it? What is the value? Like if I reached out to a company, like we're always out talking to businesses, and we are adding it now to our portfolio to say, hey, reach out to AWMI, and they're a sister corporate association. What is it that you're going to offer them when they call?
Well, we talked about mentorship, but you there's tours and there's, industry speakers and there's educational programs in many, many different forms, different subject matters. A lot of it can be regional based on, obviously, we're different. I mean, the Chicago chapter is different than, perhaps California.
Yeah,
right.
Different industry. Yeah.
Right. Different industry. So all those things are available. I think that if you participate on a board level, you learn how to run your own small little company. You have budgets. You have to answer to people. So it's a challenging and fun and rewarding event in life to do this.
And for the members themselves, the young women that are getting involved with AWMI, what are the skills that they're going to pick up, being a part of your association, in terms of their own personal professional development? Some of it's the courses and training, obviously, but working with the organization itself sometimes is the training, right?
Oh, sure. I mean, if you've got 13 Type A women sitting in a room together,
things are going to get done.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Now there might be a couple different ways to approach that, but they're going to get done.
Yeah.
So I think I shouldn't say just. I think learning to work intimately with people to get the job done and issues resolved, where you may not always get those opportunities within your company, depending on the role you have.
That's right. And it's not necessarily the company's fault. It's just the role you're in and what you do, right?
Right.
I started volunteering with our association. So now I run the association that I used to volunteer at. If that's a long train, But I started as a young man volunteering with my local chapter for the association. And one of the first things that, they started getting me to do is to do presentations, because I used to work in the mill and I used to work with stainless steel, and they would ask me to do presentations, and you start learning how to public speak, and you start learning to stand up. And then you also start learning when it's time to stop talking sometimes, which is a valuable lesson in itself, which is a hard one.
Yes, that's one we all should have.
Yeah, and it's a tough one.
Yeah.
But, professionally, none of those things are official lessons. I'm not going to chapter meetings with they put a big banner over the door saying, today you're going to learn to shut up, right? But you go and you attend the meetings and you learn to respect everyone in the room. Everyone in this room, like you said, is a Type A. Everyone here is ready to try to get something done. Everyone's volunteering. No one's getting paid.
Right.
Everyone's here because they got a reason to be. So you don't want to hijack this, or you want everyone to participate and get something done.
Correct.
Right. Those lessons in itself are so valuable, and I think they're only kind of really found in volunteering. It's different when you're not getting paid.
Right. Because you want to be there. You want to be there, so you want to seek that knowledge.
And would you relate your passion for sales specifically to the trades, or do you feel like your passion for sales would have been the same? Like, let's say 18 or 19-year-old Tamela would have been hired, at the Plastic Producers of America. I don't know.
Right. I think that sales is my skill set.
Yeah.
So I would hope that I
would have crushed it.
Yes, that would have translated to anything. But I think that the people in the industry is the reason that I stayed. Yeah,
it is a unique world.
It is. It's a small industry, as you and I were talking offline, and it's again some of my best friends that
almost all my best friends are in this industry.
Yeah.
If I think about it.
Yeah, you're right. Outside of maybe two.
Yeah.
Never mind.
And not even necessarily people I worked with, and it's weird because now that I'm old, right? It's like there are people that they may have been a student, they may have been someone that worked at a shop, or someone I never even met. I met at an association meeting. We never actually worked together, but now there's that commonality between us, right? Which is at the end of the day the industry, right? It's why we do the podcast. It's why we interview people like you, so that when people listen, they kind of realize that this industry is not just a job like other jobs.
Correct.
We're very unique in the steel industry where we have our own associations. We have our own support networks. You don't see this in other trades. You don't see it in other industries. And I'm not really sure why it is the way it is, but it's a beautiful thing. You know, I've traveled around the world and run into people from my hometown. You know, like, it's just these amazing stories that you run into for yourself now. You know, 40 years in the industry, 35 years with AWMI. You must have a very good connection to just about every corner of this country here.
Yeah, I have a great network.
Yeah.
I'm very blessed. I'm very thankful. And here you see 381 of my closest friends are here.
Pretty popular.
I may not know all of them, but they're going to be my closest friend by the end of the conference.
That's right.
So that's and all over, obviously, again, all over the country and in Canada.
Yeah.
And that's what's nice, that you really can, if you need, you can be in any city and look up somebody and you might know them. And if you need help, you know, that's an
It's probably there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're usually excited to tell you about what they do and what their job is.
Sure.
Do you see a growth? Is it getting better for women in the industry?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like it's,
Yep.
you know, because that's always the question. Like we're trying, but is it going? Are we moving the needle?
Yes. Well, and again, I'm very fortunate with the company that I work for. My direct general manager is a woman. And before that, our commercial director was, a woman. She's left, but we have a lot of women within our company in management, and we're owned by SSAB in Sweden is our corporate headquarters, our world headquarters. And there's a lot of women in those positions over there too.
Well, the head of the Swedish Welding Society is a woman too.
There you go.
Right? Like, I mean, they're very forward thinking, and they have a new network out there. I was just talking to somebody about it called the Swiss Global Learning Network, where they're actually offering trades programming for women for free online and stuff like that.
There you go.
Which I was like, you know, that is amazing, right?
Okay.
Now, you know, what's next on your bucket list now? Because, you know, what keeps you inspired? You're going to leave this conference on Friday, and I'm sure you're going to have a new fire burning in you. What are these things that you look for?
Yeah. I obviously am towards the end of my career, but I'm not ready to go yet. And as long as my company feels that I contribute, and I'm happy, and I'm going to stay with it.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate and blessed. I have 5 grandchildren that are under the age of 4, and another one on the way. So
you got side projects.
I have things that I could fill my time with. Oh wait, I do fill my time with.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What do you think's on the horizon for AWMI in their future?
They're expanding. They've just added 2 new chapters. One, I believe, is official now in
New York,
right, and the other one in Florida is a provisional still. I'd like to see, and I know that organization would like to see, maybe some chapters in the mountain states, and because there's kind of a void there.
Like in Colorado, you were talking about?
Yeah, Colorado, Utah, whatever those areas.
Well, that's interesting because Colorado has like one of the biggest mining and universities in the world. You think that they would be all over that?
Yeah. So,
what about Canada? I asked the other guests that too. I was like, when's Canada on the list?
Well,
we got Toronto.
Well, you got Toronto, yeah.
But Toronto's like this, and they don't make any steel in Toronto. You got to come over out west where we are. We make all the stuff.
Exactly. That's right. But outside of Evraz in Saskatchewan, what is there? So
oil and gas, I guess.
Yeah, oil and gas. Yeah. People got to drive a long way, so
exactly.
Have to
really book it.
Right. So I mean. Again, I'm not involved in the leadership of AWMI on a board anymore, but there's a lot of growth potential out there. There's obviously good leadership that's in place now, and will continue and has been. So,
So
good leadership has been in place. I didn't want to make it sound like
all of a sudden.
Yeah, right.
It's always been good.
Yeah, it's always been great. It's been great. It was great back in 2013.
Yeah.
That's when I was president.
That's when you were president. Right. Probably the best time ever.
Yeah. Well.
So to as we get closer to the end of the interview, I guess, what are some of the key things that you are going to take away from this week? Who's someone that you're here to see presentation-wise, or what's something that you're really excited to be a part of this week?
Oh, I think that these conferences are always good, and they're always different. You get we've got a couple customers here that are actually part of the presentations that are going to be here, and so we always enjoy seeing that, of course. But it's I think that the variety and the way that it's broken up, with the way that they have formatted it, the keynotes, the panels, I think that keeps things interesting, timely.
Good. And Nashville, how do you like Nashville?
Well, I haven't seen much yet.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You just got in this morning.
I just got here, yeah.
Have you been to Nashville before?
I was here in Valentine's Day 2020 for a wedding.
Oh, wow, very romantic.
Yeah, it was fun. And then we know what happened in March of 2020. So that we got to enjoy it.
You got one good one in before it all shut down.
One good one in, yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's good. I was actually just coming back from working in Russia when COVID broke out, and I actually think I might have brought it back from Russia. I don't know, because we all got sick off that plane, every single one of us, and then that was in February of 2020. And it was immediately right after everything shut down. I was like, oh man, and we were all sick. And I was like, oh man, I wonder if I'm patient zero. What do they call them?
Yeah, right.
That's awesome. So you're not retiring anytime soon. You're gonna stick around. We love that you're here. I'm so glad you took the time out for this interview.
Well, thank you, Max.
And it was a lot of fun. And now we're brothers in arms. We did our time with the same companies.
Yeah.
And so we're connected now.
Yeah, we call those sisters in arms, but okay.
Okay, we are homies in arms.
There you go. I love it. Well, thank you, Max.
Absolutely. And how do people join, just on the way out, how do people join AWMI? How do they become a member?
Oh, well, obviously you can talk, if they're here, they're already a member, but you go online, www.awmi.org.
Awesome. Well, perfect. Thanks for taking the time to be on the show.
Thank you.
And for all the people that are following along, please be a part of these organizations. They're doing wonderful things. They need more memberships. They need more people to be a part of it, more corporate sponsors to help support these things, as our company is. And, even association to association, we can find ways to collaborate and support each other and make the industry better and safer for everybody. So until the next episode, we're here in Nashville having fun at AWMI. And make sure that you comment, download, and share. We'll see you at the next episode.
We hope you enjoyed the show.